Someone offers you a ride and tells you never to look back. Would you obey? Ada thought it was a strange warning too. She had just arrived a remote village for her NYSC posting when she noticed something was terribly wrong. The roads were empty, the shops were shutting down, and everyone she asked for directions looked at her with fear. Then, an old woman grabbed her arm and whispered, "Run. If they find you before nightfall, they'll sacrifice you." Before Ada could ask what she meant, the woman disappeared. Minutes later, a stranger stopped his car beside her. The moment he heard where she was headed, the color drained from his face. "Get in," he said, "now." As the car sped into the darkness, he gave her only one rule, a rule he repeated 3 times. Whatever you hear, whatever calls your name, whatever happens behind this car, do not look back. At first, Ada thought he was crazy. Then, she heard footsteps running behind them. Ada was the only child of a poor widow. After her husband died, Grace had nobody left except her daughter. No land, no business, no savings, just a small roadside akara stand that barely earned enough to put food on the table. Yet, every morning before sunrise, she lit her charcoal stove and went to work. Not because life was easy, but because she had a dream that her daughter would one day become somebody. And so while other children dropped out of school, Ada remained in class. When school fees increased, Grace worked longer hours. When there was no money for textbooks, she sacrificed her own meals. And through every hardship, she kept telling herself the same thing. One day, all this suffering will be worth it. Then, one afternoon, that day finally seemed to arrive. Ada came running into the compound holding a letter. Her eyes were filled with tears. "Mama!" Grace's heart skipped. "What happened?" Ada threw her arms around her. "I've received my call-up letter for NYSC." For a moment, the old woman couldn't speak. She simply stared at her daughter. Then, tears rolled down her cheeks. Years of sacrifice, years of hunger, years of struggle, and now her daughter was finally beginning a new chapter. That night, as they sat outside under the moonlight, Ada squeezed her mother's hand. "Mama, don't worry. Your suffering will soon be over." The old woman smiled. Ada continued, "Once I start receiving my allowance, I'll send money home every month. You won't have to stand by that fire frying akara anymore." Grace laughed through her tears. If only she knew those would be some of the last words she would hear before darkness came looking for her daughter. That night, Grace slept with a smile on her face. For the first time in many years, she felt hopeful about the future. But hours before dawn, she had a dream. She found herself standing alone on a narrow road covered in thick fog. The air was cold, too cold. Then she saw Ada. Her daughter was walking ahead, dragging a small travel bag. "Ada!" Grace called, but Ada didn't stop. "Ada!" Still nothing. Then figures began appearing from the fog, tall shadows that looked like trees, watching, waiting. Grace tried to run toward her daughter, but her legs wouldn't move. Then one of the shadows slowly raised its arm and pointed behind Ada, and a voice whispered, "Don't let her look back." Grace screamed. Her wrapper was soaked with sweat. Her heart pounded violently against her chest. The dream felt too real to ignore. When morning came, Ada was busy preparing for her journey. Her clothes were packed, her documents were arranged, her future was waiting. But Grace couldn't shake the fear in her heart. As Ada prepared to leave, her mother pulled her aside. "My daughter," Ada smiled. "Yes, Mama." "I don't know why, but my spirit is troubled." Ada sighed. "Mama, not again." Smiled. "Yes, Mama." "I don't know why, but my spirit is troubled." Ada sighed. "Mama, not again. I had a terrible dream about you." "It was only a dream." "No," Grace said firmly. This one felt different. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Grace reached into a small drawer and brought out a worn Bible. Its cover was faded from years of use. She placed it in Ada's hands. "Keep this with you." Ada smiled and hugged her. "Mama, I'll be fine." Then she picked up her bag and headed for the motor park. Neither of them noticed the tears gathering in Grace's eyes. As the bus pulled away, Grace stood by the roadside waving, watching, praying, until the vehicle disappeared from sight. The journey started peacefully. Passengers chatted. Some slept, others listened to music through their earphones. Ada sat by the window, imagining her new life. A good job, a better house for her mother, a future free from poverty. Then, boom! A loud explosion shook the bus. Passengers screamed. The driver fought the steering wheel. Vehicle swerved violently before coming to a stop. A tire had burst. Everyone climbed down. The driver and his assistant spent nearly an hour fixing it. When they finally resumed, the sun was already lower in the sky. "Bad luck," one passenger grumbled. Nobody thought much of it, until it happened again. Less than 2 hours later, another tire went flat. This time, even the driver looked disturbed. "What kind of bad luck is this?" someone asked. Nobody answered. An elderly man seated near the back slowly shook his head. Then he muttered something under his breath. Ada barely heard him. Some roads don't welcome strangers. A strange silence followed. The repairs took even longer. By the time they resumed the journey, evening was approaching. Dark clouds gathered overhead. And for reasons she couldn't explain, Ada suddenly remembered her mother's dream. For the first time since leaving home, she felt afraid. By the time the bus reached the final stop, the sun was already disappearing behind the hills. Ada stepped down and looked around. Something felt wrong immediately. The motor park was almost empty. A place that should have been crowded was silent. Too silent. Only a few vehicles remained, and they were leaving in a hurry. She adjusted the strap of her bag and approached a man loading sacks into a pickup van. "Good evening, sir." The man looked up. "I am looking for Oku village. How can I get there?" The moment she mentioned the village, the man's expression changed. His eyes widened. Then he quickly looked away. "I don't know." Before Ada could ask another question, he climbed into his vehicle and drove off. Confused, she walked to a nearby woman closing a small shop. "Please, can you tell me where I can find a bike going to Oku village?" The woman froze. For a moment, she simply stared at Ada. Then, her gaze dropped to the travel bag in her hand. "You are not from here." "No, I'm a corps member." The woman's face turned pale. Without saying another word, she pulled down her shop shutter and locked it. Ada stood there speechless. What is wrong with these people? A distant drum suddenly echoed through the evening air. Boom, boom, boom. The sound came from somewhere beyond the trees, slow, rhythmic, and ancient. Ada felt a chill crawl up her spine. The few remaining people in the area immediately became restless. Some hurried away, others disappeared into nearby buildings. Within minutes, the place was nearly deserted. Ada checked her phone. No network. She sighed. Perfect. The sky was growing darker by the second. She was stranded, alone, in a place she had never been before. Then, she noticed an elderly woman sitting beneath a tree. Unlike everyone else, the woman wasn't moving. She simply sat there, watching. Ada hurried over. "Good evening, Mama." The old woman suddenly grabbed her wrist. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "You must leave." Ada blinked. "What?" "You must leave now." The drumming grew louder. Boom, boom, boom. "Mama, I don't understand." The old woman leaned closer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Tonight is the festival of the masked men." Ada frowned. "The what?" The old woman's lips trembled. "Ajalu." A cold wind swept through the empty park. "The god of death will walk among men tonight." Ada felt a chill run down her spine. "And if he finds you outside," the old woman swallowed hard, "he will take you." Ada stared at her. For a second, she honestly wondered if the woman was mentally unstable. "Mama, I think there's been a misunderstanding." "No!" the old woman nearly shouted. Then she lowered her voice again. "Listen to me. Every woman in this region is already indoors. Every daughter, every wife, every girl." Ada glanced around. Now that she thought about it, she hadn't seen a single woman outside. Not one. Her heartbeat quickened. The old woman's eyes darted toward the road. Then suddenly, she released Ada's hand. The fear on her face deepened. Too late. Ada turned. Headlights were approaching. A black car. The vehicle slowed as it neared them. The old woman immediately stood up, and to Ada's shock, she began backing away, as if terrified of being seen near the road. The car stopped beside Ada. The driver's window rolled down. A man sat behind the wheel. Early 30s, calm face, sharp eyes. The old woman pointed at Ada and then spoke only 4 words. Words that made the man's expression instantly darken. "She doesn't know." The man's eyes shifted to Ada, then to her travel bag, then back to her face. For several seconds, he said nothing. The distant drums continued. Boom, boom, boom. Finally, he spoke. "Get in the car." Ada hesitated. The stranger's jaw tightened. This is not the time to ask questions. Then he glanced toward the dark forest lining the road. And for the first time, fear appeared in his eyes. "Get in. Now." Ada didn't move. Everything her mother had taught her screamed against entering a stranger's car. The drums echoed again, closer this time. Boom, boom, boom. Finally, she opened the passenger door and climbed in. The moment she shut it, the driver locked all 4 doors. Click, click, click. The sound made her stomach tighten. The vehicle pulled away. For several minutes, neither of them spoke. Outside, the road stretched through thick forest. Darkness gathered beneath the trees. The farther they drove, the fewer signs of civilization remained. No houses, no motorcycles, no pedestrians, nothing. Just road, forest, and drums. Always the drums. Finally, Ada broke the silence. "What is happening?" The stranger kept his eyes on the road. "You arrived on the worst day possible." "What day?" He didn't answer immediately, almost as if he was deciding how much to tell her. Then he sighed. "Long before roads came here, the villagers around this region made a bargain." Ada frowned. A bargain with who? The man's grip tightened on the steering wheel. Some questions are safer unanswered. Ada stared at him. For the first time, she noticed something else. The rear view mirror had been tilted upward, deliberately, so that neither of them could see the back seat. She found that odd, very odd. Then she noticed another thing. The driver hadn't looked into the mirror even once, not once. A cold feeling settled in her stomach. "Why is the mirror turned away?" The man immediately answered, "Because I don't need it." His tone ended the conversation. For a while, then the drums stopped, just like that. Silence. The sudden absence of sound felt worse, much worse. Ada found herself listening, waiting. The vehicle rounded a bend, and that's when she heard it. Footsteps. She looked toward the passenger window. Nothing. Just trees, darkness, road. Yet the sound continued. Someone was running, keeping pace with the car. Her heart began to race. The driver heard it too. She could tell because his jaw clenched, but he didn't look, didn't react, didn't slow down, didn't speed up. It was as though he was pretending not to hear it. The footsteps grew louder and closer. Then they stopped. Ada swallowed. Did you hear? Don't. The driver's voice was sharp, very sharp. The word cut through the silence like a knife. Ada blinked. What? For the first time since she entered the vehicle, he turned to look at her. The fear in his eyes made her blood run cold. Listen carefully. The driver took a slow breath. Then he spoke the words that would change everything. From this moment onward, his voice dropped. Whatever you hear, whatever calls your name, whatever happens behind this car. He looked straight ahead, never once glancing toward the rear seat. And then he delivered the warning that would determine whether she survived the night. Do not look back. A chill ran through Ada. She almost laughed. The instructions sounded ridiculous, like something from a folktale. Then, a voice whispered from somewhere behind her. Soft, clear, impossible. Ada. Her entire body froze because she recognized that voice. It was her mother. Ada's heart nearly stopped. Mama? The whisper came again, exactly like her mother's voice. Ada. Every hair on her body stood up. That was impossible. Her mother was hundreds of kilometers away. Yet the voice sounded so close, so real, as though Grace was sitting right behind her. Ada slowly turned toward the driver. Did you hear that? The man's face remained fixed on the road, but she noticed something alarming. The color had drained from his face. He heard it. He definitely heard it. Keep your eyes forward. The voice came again, this time sounding frightened. Ada, help me. Tears immediately filled Ada's eyes. No daughter could hear her mother crying for help and remain calm. No, she whispered. Mama? The driver's hands tightened around the steering wheel. I told you not to answer. But that's my mother. No, his voice became harder. That is not your mother. The forest outside seemed dark, as if the night itself was closing in around them. Then another voice emerged from behind. A little boy crying, then a woman screaming, then an old man begging for help. One after another, dozens. The sounds overlapped, building into a chorus of fear, a chorus coming from the back seat. Ada's breathing became shallow. What is happening? The driver didn't answer. For a moment, only the voices filled the car. Then everything stopped. Silence. Complete silence. Ada released a shaky breath. Maybe it was over. Maybe. Then, knock. Her heart jumped. Knock. 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 The sound came from the rear windshield. Something was tapping the glass. The driver immediately accelerated. The engine roared. The vehicle surged forward. Knock. 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 The tapping followed, perfectly matching their speed, as if whatever was outside was running behind them. Ada squeezed her eyes shut. This couldn't be happening. None of this could be real. Then she heard a laugh, a quiet laugh, coming from directly behind her seat. Not outside, inside the car. Her eyes flew open. The driver cursed. Don't listen. The laugh became louder. And for the first time since entering the car, Ada felt the overwhelming urge to turn around. Just one glance, just one, to prove there was nothing there. To prove she wasn't losing her mind. Slowly, her eyes drifted toward the side mirror. The driver noticed immediately. No. His voice came out almost as a growl. Ada looked away, but the damage was done. Because now curiosity had entered the car, and curiosity was far more dangerous than fear. Outside, the forest grew thicker and darker, and somewhere behind them, something smiled. The road narrowed. Trees pressed closer from both sides. Their branches stretched over the road like skeletal fingers. For several minutes, nobody spoke. Not Ada, not the driver, not the voices. Only the sound of the engine remained. Yet somehow, that silence felt worse. Much worse. Because Ada could feel them. Whoever or whatever was behind her, watching patiently. Then, the driver's phone suddenly lit up. Ada glanced at it. No number, no name. Just one word on the screen. Unknown. The driver's expression darkened. He rejected the call immediately. A second later, the phone rang again. Unknown. Again, he rejected it. Then it rang a third time. Unknown. Ada felt a chill. Who keeps calling? The driver didn't answer. The phone stopped ringing. A text message appeared instead. The driver saw it, and for the first time all night, he looked genuinely frightened. Ada couldn't help herself. What does it say? The man remained silent. Then finally, he muttered, They know we're leaving. Before Ada could ask who they were, the car headlights flickered, then died completely. Darkness swallowed the road. The engine coughed. The vehicle jerked violently and stopped. The silence that followed was unbearable. No engine, no wind, nothing. The forest itself seemed to be holding its breath. Ada's heart pounded. What happened? The driver was already trying the ignition. Nothing. Again, nothing. Again, nothing. A bit of sweat rolled down his forehead. That terrified Ada more than anything because this was the first time she had seen him panic. The man opened the glove compartment, pulled out a small flashlight. Then he did something strange. He handed it to Ada. Listen carefully. His voice was low but urgent. I'm going outside. What? I need to restart the engine manually. No! The word escaped before she could stop it. You can't leave me here. His eyes met hers. For a moment, she saw genuine sympathy. Then he spoke. Ada? She swallowed. If you hear knocking, his face became serious. Do not answer. If you hear crying, he continued, do not answer. If you hear your mother, Ada's throat tightened. Do not answer. He pointed toward the back seat. And whatever happens, his voice dropped, almost to a whisper. Do not look back. Then he stepped out. The door shut and Ada was alone. The flashlight trembled in her hands. Outside, the driver disappeared toward the front of the vehicle. His beam of light danced across the darkness, then vanished behind the hood. Ada tried to slow her breathing. Everything would be fine. The car would start, they would leave. She would reach the main road, and all of this would become a strange story she would tell someday. Then she heard it. Tap. Ada froze. Tap, tap, tap. The sound came from her window. Slowly, very slowly, she turned her eyes toward the glass. Nothing. Only darkness. Tap, tap, tap. Now it came from the opposite window. Then the rear door. Then the roof. One tap, then another, then dozens, as though many fingers were moving around the car, exploring it, searching. Ada squeezed the Bible her mother had given her. For the first time since leaving home, she remembered it. Her trembling fingers opened it. The pages fluttered. A verse had been underlined years ago by her mother. Her eyes fell upon it and she began to read aloud. Her voice shook, but she kept reading. Outside, the tapping stopped immediately. The sudden silence made her pause. Then something happened, something that made her blood run cold. A voice whispered from directly behind her, not from outside, not from the window, inside the car, close enough to touch. And this time, it wasn't pretending to be her mother. It spoke in its own voice, a voice ancient and hollow, a voice that sounded like dry leaves scraping across stone. And it said, that book won't help you if you've already looked. Ada's entire body went numb, because she had never looked back, not once, which meant only one thing. Whatever was speaking already knew something she didn't. Ada's hand trembled around the Bible. What do you mean? No answer. The voice behind her was gone. Outside, the forest had become unnaturally quiet. Then, the driver's flashlight beam appeared. He was running back toward the car. Relief flooded Ada's chest. He yanked open the door and jumped inside. Start, start! The engine coughed, once, twice, then roared to life. The driver slammed the gear into drive. The car shot forward. Ada had never been so happy to hear an engine. For several minutes, neither of them spoke. Then she noticed something. The driver kept checking the sky, as if measuring time, as if they were racing a deadline. Are we going to make it? Ada asked. He didn't answer immediately. Finally, he said, we were supposed to be out before midnight. Ada's stomach tightened. Were? The driver remained silent. That was answer enough. A few moments later, the road opened into a clearing. In the distance, Ada saw lights, real lights, buildings, people, the main road. Hope surged through her. We made it! The driver didn't share her excitement. Instead, his face became pale, terrifyingly pale. Ada followed his gaze. The main road wasn't empty. Hundreds of figures stood across it, perfectly still, blocking the exit. Men, women, children, all dressed in white. None of them moved. None of them spoke. They simply stood there, waiting. The driver slowly pressed the brakes. No, he whispered. What is it? Ada asked. The man's voice shook. They got here first. The figures began walking toward the car. Not running, walking, slowly, deliberately. The driver immediately turned the vehicle around. The engine screamed. The car sped back the way they came. But Ada noticed something horrifying. The figures weren't chasing them. They weren't even hurrying. It was as though they already knew she couldn't escape. Then she heard it. A voice. Her mother's voice. Crying, begging, desperate. Ada, please! Tears filled her eyes. Mama! The driver slammed his hand against the steering wheel. Don't listen! Ada, help me! The voice sounded broken, in pain, as though something terrible was happening to her. Then came the words that shattered Ada's resolve. My daughter, they're hurting me! Ada broke. Every instinct inside her screamed to turn around. Just once, just one glance. To see, to know, to help. The driver saw her moving. No! He shouted. But it was too late. Ada turned. For a fraction of a second, she looked back and she screamed. The back seat wasn't occupied by creatures. It was occupied by people. Dozens of them, packed impossibly into the space. Their faces twisted in terror, their eyes locked onto hers, and every single one of them looked exactly like Ada. The car exploded into darkness. Silence. Ada opened her eyes. The sun was setting. A travel bag rested beside her. Confused, she sat up. Dusty road, trees, the old bus stop. Her breath caught in her throat. No, this wasn't possible. Slowly, she turned around. The same empty road, the same abandoned park, the same place where she had first arrived. Then she heard an engine. A black car approached. Ada's blood froze. The vehicle slowed, stopped beside her. The driver's window rolled down. The same man sat behind the wheel. For a moment, he simply stared. His face turned white. Not surprised, not confused, defeated. As if he had just witnessed his worst nightmare come true. Ada stumbled backward. What is happening? The man didn't answer. His eyes dropped to her travel bag, then to her face. Then he closed his eyes. A look of exhaustion washed over him, the kind of exhaustion that comes from carrying the same burden for years. Slowly, he reached into the passenger seat and pulled out a photograph. His hand trembled. Ada. She stared at him. The man held up the picture. Her stomach dropped. It was a photograph of them, inside the car, the same road. But in the photo, she looked terrified, as if it had been taken moments before her death. Ada's mouth fell open. What is that? The driver's voice cracked. The first time. He pulled out another photograph, then another. 7 photographs, each one showing a different version of Ada. Different clothes, different hairstyles, different expressions, but always the same car, always the same road, always the same fear. Ada felt the world spinning around her. The man stared at the photographs, then whispered, "I almost got you out on the 3rd attempt." He revealed another picture. "I thought we had escaped on the 5th. Another. On the 6th, we reached the main road." His voice broke. "And then you looked back." Tears filled Ada's eyes. "What are you talking about?" The man looked directly at her. For the first time all night, she saw genuine heartbreak in his face. Then he spoke the words that shattered her reality. "You don't understand, do you?" A long pause. "You've been trapped in this night for 7 years." Ada stopped breathing. The man swallowed hard. And this, eyes drifted toward the dark forest. The drums had already started again. Boom, boom, boom. "This is the 7th time I've tried to save you." The color drained from Ada's face. The man opened the passenger door, exactly as he had done before. Exactly as he had done 6 times before. Then he spoke the same words. The words she now realized she had heard many times. Words she had somehow forgotten. "Get in." The drums echoed through the forest. Boom, boom, boom. The driver looked at her one last time. And this time, there was almost no hope left in his eyes. Only resignation